Hello and welcome back to another episode. This week we're making rhumbarbers, which I'm very excited about. We'll start with a quick rundown of the ingredients, then we'll dive right in. So there's a bit of flour, some milk, we've got some sugar, some yeast, some salt and some butter. Oh yeah, and some eggs. There they are, I forgot about those. So I thought it might be interesting if I tell you something about rhumbarbers, but I realised I don't really know anything, so I'm relying on Wikipedia. I'm reliably informed it's a small yeasted cake saturated in syrup, usually rum, which I think I kind of knew that anyway. And Wikipedia tells me its origins are from the Polish babka, which a lot of people have probably heard of, but actually the rhubarber was born in France, but taking its influence from the Polish babka. The more you know. So as you can see, I'm just whisking together the eggs and milk there. We're basically making an enriched dough. So the next thing I'm going to do is add my yeast, salt and sugar together, basically all the dry ingredients. I'm going to give them a bit of a mix, then slowly add in the milk and eggs. I'll just do this bit by bit to kind of bring it together. Then I need to knead it. It said for 10 minutes, I actually did it for a bit longer. It is a surprisingly wet dough, which is delightful, so it took quite a bit of work to get it together. Yeah, this was not one of the more fun doughs I've worked with. So I added in the rest of the milk and eggs and kind of scraped it out onto the counter. As you can see there, it's really wet and sticky. Yeah, I already was not looking forward to kneading this. So I'm going to knead it for about 15 minutes just to try and build up a bit of structure, hopefully bring it together a bit more. And once it's formed a bit more of a kind of pliable dough and isn't as sticky, I'm then going to add in that butter bit by bit and knead that in, and hopefully we should end up with a fairly smooth dough. So I kneaded that for about 15 minutes. I didn't think you all needed to watch me struggle with that. It is still a very sticky dough, but it has kind of come together a little bit more. So now I'm just going to add the butter in bit by bit, knead that all together, and then once it's all come together, it needs to go in a bowl, and it's going to prove, it says for about an hour or until doubled in size, which is kind of standard, I guess, when you're proving something. I will just say quickly, if you've come to this video hoping to learn how to make rhumbarbers properly, then you've probably come to the completely wrong place. Yeah. So the butter's now all incorporated. As you can see, it is still really sticky, but it has kind of, there is more structure developed. It is much more manageable as a dough. And reading through the instructions, I think it needs to be quite kind of a wet, loose dough, because once it's proved, the next bit of the instruction says to pipe it into the moulds, which I'm really not looking forward to. I've never piped dough, and yeah, just looking at how much I'm struggling to get it into the bowl there, I'm not really looking forward to that. Very typically, whenever I bake on my own, just for my own amusement, things always go really well, really neatly, and whenever I do it on video here, it always looks an absolute shambles, as you're about to see. So that dough's been proven for about an hour. It had risen nicely, so I'm just knocking it back there in the bowl, just to take some of the air out of it. The next step is I've got to get it into that blue piping bag there, which is easier said than done. I don't know if there's a correct technique for doing this. There's me having a good little think about it. Yeah, in the end I went for the really delicate method of just trying to shove it in with my hands. Do let me know if there was a better technique for this. I think, as you'll see, I tried to use the spatula, which was no more use to me. It just all got really tangled up in the spatula. I'm so sorry to any pastry chefs out there. Not that any of them will be spending their time watching these videos, but yeah, there's definitely much more refined ways of doing this, I'm sure. Yep, so here's me now deciding that a spatula might help. I was trying to press it down into the bag to absolutely no avail. Yep, discarded it there and then just ended up with an absolute mess of dough and spatula. Yep, the long story short, I got it all into the bag, maybe not in the most delicate of ways. So now it's time to try and pipe the dough into the moulds. I don't have proper rum barber moulds, but he does say you can use Dario moulds. There's me dropping the bag as I was trying to tighten it up. Yeah, so I'm just using these moulds because I don't have specific rum barber moulds, because it's just not something I have in my life right now. Yep, as you can see, it's a bit of a nightmare trying to get it out of the bag, which I thought it would be. Yeah, I understand that you need to pipe it in, I guess, to try and get an even amount into each mould. I think in hindsight I would have preferred to have just weighed out the dough, weighed out 4 equal pieces and then just put them into the moulds, but nope, he said to pipe it in, and yeah, it's just so sticky, it's a complete nightmare. I then went for my trusty spoon, because when doesn't a spoon solve all problems, to try and chop it off the bottom, which had mixed success. I won't subject you to watching me fill all of these moulds. It was not refined or pretty, but I got there in the end. I got them all filled. Here's me trying to see if they're equally divided between the 4 moulds. Probably not. They need to prove now for about an hour until they've risen to the top, and then they are ready to go in the oven. And there they are, an hour later, beautifully risen. And it's time for another really arty shot of me putting things into an oven. What more do you want? There they go. They're going in there for about 25 minutes, and I am buzzing. While they were in the oven, I just needed to put together the syrup to soak them in, so it's just a simple syrup of sugar and water, and then I'm putting in, it said 3 tablespoons of rum, but I think I went for 4, you know, just for good luck. Or maybe, was that 4 or was it 5? I don't know, I smelt it and I was pretty happy. So yeah, I'm just going to bring that to the boil, let it boil down. He didn't really say how long for, so I just let it come to the boil and reduce a little bit till it was kind of a nice, reasonably thick syrup, I guess. And here they are, time for the big reveal. I was pretty happy with them. They were in for about 25 minutes. The only thing I will say is maybe, actually, I don't think I needed quite as much in each mould, because I don't think they were meant to kind of spill over the top like that, but otherwise, I'm pretty happy with those. So I've turned them out of the moulds and I've popped them in a dish, so that's what they look like. You can see kind of where they just spill out of the top ever so slightly. I'm going to pour the syrup onto them. It says to pour it over and let them soak it up for a while. So I left them for about an hour, and then once they'd soaked all the liquid up, I turned them over and soaked them again with the rest of the syrup, and then I popped them in the fridge for about 6 hours so that they could cool and really kind of soak up any remaining liquid. While they were having a little chill in the fridge, I just need to make the cream to go on top. So yeah, it's fairly simple, just cream, bit of icing sugar, bit of vanilla. So here's me failing to get the cream out of the jar. That's because it's proper cream from the dairy, not that stuff from the shop. So that's me out of shot, just eating the really thick bit of cream on top. Look at that, proper double cream. Now I just need to add in a bit of vanilla bean paste, which is easier said than done because I can't get the lid off, even with my big strong muscles. So we'll just pretend that never happened. There we are, going to add a bit of vanilla bean paste. Once I've put that in, I'll slowly whisk in the icing sugar and then whip it up until it's kind of reasonably soft peaks. Now, I don't know why, maybe I just like to make things harder for myself. I always whip cream by hand. Yeah, I don't know if it's just because I don't like the extra washing up of getting the mixer out just to whip some cream, but I just prefer to do it by hand because it actually doesn't take that long, and you can kind of feel when it's just at the stage you want it to be. So yeah, I'm gonna add this icing sugar in slowly, whip it up, and then we are good to go. And there it is, some beautifully whipped cream. Once that's ready, I need to pop it into a piping bag, which I did with far more grace and refinement than I did the dough, and I'm going to pipe it onto the rum barbers and make them look all pretty. So I took these out of the fridge. They've been in there for about 6-7 hours, soaking up all the syrup. Now I just need to pipe some cream on top, and that's it basically. It feels like, I don't know, a bit of an anticlimax. I feel like I should be doing more, but anyway, look, there's some beautiful piping. Look at that. Such skill. Here's my attempt to make it look far more exciting than it is, but yeah, I think these look quite nice, even though they were slightly misshapen on the bottom. These tasted fairly nice. I mean, it's just dough soaked in syrup. I'm not a huge fan actually of where the dough gone kind of really soggy. My only real criticism would be, despite the fact that I used all of the syrup and poured it over and let them soak for ages, it didn't really reach all the way to the middle of the dough, so like the middle bit was still a little bit dry, but the taste was really nice, and so I just added extra cream when I ate it, yeah, which I had no complaints about. I was hoping to quietly get rid of the darts throwing, and hope that no one would notice, but no, people clocked it, so here I am once again, throwing a dart. At least it hit the board. Thankfully it was a number I hadn't hit before, so I didn't need to go through the ordeal of throwing another dart. Number 47 is Mocatines, which I've had a look and they look pretty nice. It's a sponge basically topped with coffee mousse, I think, which should be quite pleasant, so I'm looking forward to that. Thanks once again for watching me absolutely shambles my way through a recipe. See you next time.